The courtroom was so quiet, it felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. You could hear the subtle creak of the wooden benches as people leaned forward, breaths held. The tension was thick, a weight pressing down on every chest. And in the middle of it all stood a little boy, no taller than the railing that separated him from the rest of the court. 7-year-old Logan Pierce gripped the edge of the wooden witness stand with trembling hands. His brown hair was neatly combed, his tiny shoes scuffed and swinging just above the floor. He looked so small, so fragile, but the words that left his lips would shake the entire room to its foundation. The judge, a stern yet gentle woman named Honorable Meredith Grant, leaned slightly forward from her bench. "Logan," she said softly, "do you understand why you're here today?" The boy nodded. His gaze drifted slowly across the room until it landed on the man sitting at the table in uniform, Officer Brian Huxley. Logan's eyes froze, widened, and then without a sound his small arm lifted and his finger pointed directly at the officer. "It's him," Logan whispered, voice barely audible. "He's the one who hurt my mom." A collective gasp rippled across the courtroom like a wave. Chairs scraped. A juror covered her mouth. Officer Huxley's face went white. His jaw clenched. He stood abruptly, his chair toppling behind him. "Order!" Judge Grant shouted, striking her gavel hard against the bench. But the room was already electric with shock. Why would a little boy accuse a decorated police officer? Why now and why him? To understand what led Logan Pierce to that moment, you'd have to rewind the clock to a rainy Tuesday night just 3 months earlier. Logan had always been a quiet child. He loved drawing pictures of dinosaurs and building forts from couch cushions. His mom, Natalie Pierce, was his whole world. A strong, loving woman who worked 2 jobs but never missed bedtime stories. Logan remembered her laughter, her hugs, the warmth of her hand in his as they crossed the street. That night, Logan waited by the front window of their small 2-bedroom home in Crestwood, a town where everyone seemed to know everyone, and cops still waved at kids from their squad cars. Officer Huxley had been one of those officers, friendly, familiar. Logan even remembered once giving him a high five outside the grocery store. But that night, it wasn't Natalie who came home. It was Officer Huxley. He stood at the door with a blank look on his face, his uniform soaked from the rain. He didn't kneel to Logan's eye level. He didn't smile. He simply said, "Logan, there's been an accident. Your mom's gone. Gone." Just like that. But Logan had noticed something strange. A red smear on Huxley's sleeve. Something about the way he didn't meet Logan's eyes. And then there were the words his mom had said only days before, when she had seemed anxious and scared. "Logan, if anything ever happens to me, don't trust anyone. Not even the police." Logan didn't fully understand, but something about that night didn't feel right. And the feeling wouldn't go away. In the days that followed, Logan's grief took on unusual forms. In class, while the other children drew cartoons and smiley faces, Logan filled sheet after sheet with the same haunting image: a man in a police uniform standing over a woman on the ground. His teacher, Ms. Blanchard, initially dismissed it as a child's way of coping until one day, Logan broke down, crying, and whispered, "That's Officer Huxley. He made my mom go away." The school contacted child services, who then alerted the police department. But the report was brushed off. The official narrative was firm. Natalie Pierce had died in a late-night car crash. Her body had been found in a ravine off Route 9, her sedan crumpled around a tree. There were no witnesses, no cameras, and no foul play suspected. Except Logan's grandmother, Joyce Pierce, didn't believe it. She had always trusted her daughter's instincts. And when Logan began waking up in tears, clutching his mom's scarf and repeating her warning, Joyce knew something was terribly wrong. She contacted a local attorney named Simon Callow-Grizzled, skeptical but principled. At first, Simon was doubtful. What could a grieving child possibly know about a criminal case? But after reviewing Logan's drawings, speaking with him privately, and uncovering inconsistencies in the crash report, Simon began digging. It didn't take long before he discovered troubling things about Officer Brian Huxley. Unexplained deposits into Huxley's bank account. suspiciously erased dashcam footage from the night of Natalie's death, and a name that kept popping up in anonymous complaints: Natalie Pierce. According to her best friend, Natalie had recently learned something about the department. She'd been scared, even paranoid. She'd hinted to her friend Tasha that she was planning to file a complaint, something to do with drug evidence going missing from the precinct's evidence locker. One afternoon, while cleaning out Logan's backpack, Joyce found a crumpled receipt from a gas station. On the back, written in Natalie's handwriting, was a license plate number. "Keep this safe, Logan," the boy remembered her saying. "If something ever happens to me." That license plate belonged to Huxley's personal vehicle. With that, Simon filed a motion. The court reluctantly agreed to open an inquiry. Logan would testify. In the weeks leading up to the hearing, the police department turned cold. Simon received anonymous threats. Joyce's home was egged. Someone tried to break into Simon's office. The town was divided. Some saw it as a witch hunt against a decorated officer, others as long overdue justice. When the trial began, the prosecution painted Logan as a confused child, manipulated by adults who wanted to take down a good man. They showed pictures of Logan crying at his mother's funeral. They called psychologists to say children often fabricate narratives during trauma. But then Simon revealed the gas station footage. The courtroom fell into stunned silence as the grainy black and white video played. There was Natalie, alive, standing near pump 4. There was Officer Huxley. They were arguing. Then Huxley grabbed her arm. She pulled away and stormed off screen. That was the last time she was seen alive. Huxley, now forced to testify, took the stand. He looked at Logan across the room and said calmly, "I didn't hurt your mom, son. Sometimes bad things happen." Logan's eyes narrowed. He remembered his mother's voice. "Don't trust anyone." On the final day of the trial, Simon replayed the footage again. He then turned to Logan and said, "Do you have anything else you'd like to tell the court?" Logan stood. He walked back to the witness box and said with a clarity that belied his age, "You hurt my mom, and I'm not scared of you anymore." Huxley's facade cracked. His mouth twitched. His fist balled up. "She was going to ruin me," he blurted. "She found out about the money. She threatened to tell internal affairs. I panicked. We argued. She fell." His voice choked. "I tried to cover it up. I didn't mean for it to happen." The courtroom erupted. Judge Grant ordered silence, but it was already done. The jury deliberated for 5 hours. The verdict: guilty of manslaughter and obstruction of justice. 15 years. No parole. Huxley was led away in handcuffs. Logan sat quietly beside his grandmother, his small hand in hers. She wept silently. Judge Grant addressed the court. "Officer Huxley," she said, "you betrayed your oath, your badge, and your community. Justice is served today, not because of the system, but because a child chose to speak the truth." As the gavel came down, Logan felt something shift inside him. Not happiness, not closure, but a sense of peace. He would never see his mother again, but her voice had guided him to the truth. And in the silence that followed, as people began to file out of the courtroom, Logan Pierce walked out with his chin lifted, just a boy, but one who had shattered a wall of silence with nothing more than courage. And somewhere, in the quiet space where the living and the lost almost touch, his mother was smiling.